Another day, another story. Welcome to Scary Stories, where we bring you spine-tingling tales that will leave you on the edge of your seat. In today's story, we follow the terrifying weekend of a group of friends who went on a camping trip with their families. What started out as a fun weekend getaway quickly turned into a nightmare when their children disappeared without a trace in the forest. But the real horror was yet to come as the parents soon discovered that their once sweet and innocent children were no longer the same. Join us as we uncover the dark secrets that lie within the forest and the chilling fate that awaits those who venture too far. This is a story that will send shivers down your spine and make you question the true nature of the people you think you know. Are you ready to be scared? Then let's begin. The usual rest outside the city did not bode well. The company of best friends went for a weekend in nature. Margaret and Ben didn't mind that Ellie and Thomas decided to take the kids with them. One day, during a walk in the forest, adults discover that their lovely children have disappeared without a trace. In complete horror and ignorance, they began to run through the forest, trying to find them. But everything turned out to be in vain. The parents, stunned by what had happened, returned to the house. The next morning, their offspring, returning safe and sound, again played and had fun. However, now Ben began to notice that something was wrong with the children. They acted sinister and menacing. As the day went on, the children's behavior became more and more disturbing. Margaret and Ben tried to shrug it off, assuming that their children were just tired from their disappearance in the forest the day before. However, as night fell, things took a turn for the worse. The children's eyes started glowing an eerie shade of red, and their once innocent faces twisted into sinister grins. Margaret and Ben tried to approach their children, but as they did, the children began to move with an otherworldly speed. In a split second, they were surrounding their parents, eyes glowing and grinning like madmen. Suddenly, the children started chanting in an unknown language, and as they did, the lights flickered on and off, and the temperature in the room dropped drastically. Margaret and Ben were paralyzed with fear, unable to move as the chanting grew louder and louder. Suddenly, the chanting stopped, and the children's eyes returned to their normal color, and their grins turned back into innocent smiles. The lights stopped flickering, and the room's temperature returned to normal. The children looked at their parents and asked if they were okay, completely unaware of what had just happened. Margaret and Ben, shaken to the core, didn't know what to do or say. They just hugged their children tightly, unsure of what kind of evil had taken over their once sweet and innocent kids. From that day on, they knew that their lives would never be the same, and they would always live in fear of what their children could become. As the night wore on, Margaret and Ben tried to make sense of what had just happened. They couldn't shake the feeling that something was off with their children. They tried to talk to them about what had happened, but the kids didn't seem to remember anything. They just kept playing and laughing as if nothing had happened. Margaret and Ben decided to keep a close eye on their children, hoping that it was just a one-time occurrence. However, over the next few days, they noticed more and more strange behavior from their kids. They would talk in hushed tones when they thought their parents weren't listening, and they would sneak out of the house in the middle of the night. One day, while exploring the nearby woods, Margaret and Ben stumbled upon a strange, abandoned cabin. As they investigated, they found evidence that someone had been living there recently. But what they found next made their blood run cold. In one of the rooms, they found a book bound in human skin, with strange symbols and incantations scrawled across its pages. As they looked closer, they realized that the book was written in the same language that their children had been chanting in that fateful night. Suddenly, everything started to make sense. Their children had somehow stumbled upon this book and had been using its dark magic to manipulate their parents and others around them. Margaret and Ben knew they had to act fast. They grabbed the book and burned it, hoping to break the spell that had been cast over their children. It worked, and the children returned to their normal selves, with no memory of what had happened. Margaret and Ben realized that they had narrowly escaped a terrible fate, and they made a pact never to venture into the woods again. But the memory of that terrifying weekend and the evil that had taken over their children stayed with them for the rest of their lives. The end. If you enjoy scary stories like this one, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell, so you never miss out on our latest uploads. We post new stories every week, guaranteed to give you chills and make you check under your bed at night. Join us as we explore the darkest corners of the human imagination, delving into the realms of horror and terror that few dare to tread. Our stories will leave you breathless, scared, and always wanting more. So, grab a blanket, turn down the lights, and get ready to be scared out of your wits. Welcome to Scary Stories, where nightmares come to life.